So what makes the best menopause nutritionist? Again, here's where I like to clarify. I think as long as you're educated in this field, specifically in women's hormones as they pertain to this time in life in menopause, I think there's a lot of really good ways to approach nutrition. So it's hard to delineate from the best menopause nutritionist. But I think the important thing is to find a coach, nutrition counselor that works for you. And it depends. Are you looking for an RDA? Are you looking for an integrative approach, meaning a more holistic approach to nutrition? Not just, I think of an RDA, they can be great and for sure, where they hand you a piece of paper and give you a list of foods to consume, based on the generic public. What I believe is most important in finding the best menopause nutritionist is that we have different needs as women at this stage in life than we did. We are much more sensitive to certain food groups. Specifically, we can have more gluten sensitivity, intolerance to gluten. We can have more sensitivity to corn, to dairy, especially for women who at this stage in life are really frustrated with the belly bloat, weight gain that won't budge, and that can be due to inflammation that has over time built to a state of chronic inflammation in the body. And this shows up as weight gain at this stage in life. So thinking about the best menopause nutritionist is someone who is schooled and educated and knowledgeable about this phase in life and what a woman in menopause is going through hormonally and how that impacts our weight, our fat storage, and someone who knows how to address it. So for me, as a menopause nutritionist, I am a more holistic approach. So that is my background is in integrative medicine, integrative nutrition, holistic health, right? It's not just about what we're eating, right? It's more what we're eating, when we're eating, why we're eating, how we're eating, right? And so and where are you eating, right? So each of those 5 things, what, when, I already said where, why, and how. Those are all important, really important things to take into consideration, and that I work with clients in this space around menopause nutrition to see what's happening, right? Where are you starting? What is a typical day like, in eating, right? What is your, and for a lot of women, there is no typical. And so from there, we try to create as much consistency in those 5 things as we possibly can, step by step by step. Not an overhaul, not all at once. We start with what you're eating. And so when we do that, right, we want to look at, and I say this all the time, protein, fat, and fiber. Those are the main food groups, right? We want to make sure that we are getting into our daily nutrition framework, right? So protein. Okay. So when I think of protein, we've got so many options, and yet this can be such a struggle for so many women. So I've just brought some things out of my fridge, out of my pantry. So here we have grass-fed bison here, and so this has 3.5 servings here and 23 grams of protein per serving. That's amazing. At 160 calories, that's a lot of bang for your protein buck. We like this, yes? How do we prepare it? You can do it in a sugar-free, you can pan fry it, add in a sugar-free, watch out for ingredients. Things like Primal Kitchen is a good brand. And this is just if you're short on time. You can certainly make your own homemade sauce and saute it in, put in some spaghetti squash. Yum, delicious, high in protein, fat, and fiber. So bison has some fat, but it is a very low fat beef. So enjoy that. It's gamey, tastes delicious. So if you haven't tried it, give it a try. Easy to use in so many recipes. Okay, then of course, the easy to go to, like for lunch, we've got some tuna, right? This has 21 grams just in this little packet alone. So again, 21 grams of protein. We're not onto fiber yet, but protein here, really good. And again, chicken breast, easy, so many ways to prepare it. Stir fry it, bake it, broil it, grill it. Always great with some veggies. And again, here you're getting, for 4 ounces, 20 plus grams of, we got 25 grams here. So I think of, this is probably a total. So how many ounces in this? It's almost 11. Okay, so you're going to divide that up, right? 4 ounces is 3 servings. These are some pretty big breasts here, chicken breasts. So you want a good amount, like I think the size of your hand, right? That's a good serving size. Your palm, right? And then go from there. But you want to make sure you're getting a good amount. Google is great for that. Like how much chicken is, how do I get 30 grams of protein, from chicken and maybe a couple of other ingredients. And that can always be helpful way to find out, right? How do I get that amount that I'm looking for? And we are aiming for around 30 grams of protein at each meal if you're eating 3 meals a day. More if you're only having 2 meals, right? And so here, some eggs. Eggs are great, a great add-in too. Of course, only 6 grams of protein, but you have a couple eggs, maybe add in some egg whites for an omelet and maybe some chicken sausage, and there goes your protein intake. So protein forward, really we're always about let's get enough protein in. And then I also have chickpeas. So if you're, for vegetarian, or if you just want to add, again, a little bit of extra, you can do a small serving of chickpeas in there. Also carbohydrate and fiber. So a good thing to add in. And then my base of all meals is always the fiber and carbohydrate, right? So when we look at this, we're looking at a rainbow, right? I put everything in here for my fridge, but I have kale and sweet potato and scallions and zucchini. And I like to get like a broccoli slaw here, right? Some of those cruciferous vegetables, we need to get those in. I've got some arugula, carrots, parsley, cilantro, a big variety, right? Red cabbage. You want to make sure you're getting a nice variety in. So again, the rainbow, and the bulk of your plate is going to be this, right? That carbohydrate low. So these are carbohydrates, right? The vegetables. We want that to take up maybe 3/4 of our plate, pile high. Starchy carbs like a sweet potato or not zucchini, not the green zucchini, but the squashes. Those are more of a higher carb content. So those we want to maybe do half a sweet potato once in a while. We can do the squash, but those are important to get into. Real whole foods, right? So that is, again, going to make up the majority of our plate. You've got a serving of protein to make up about 30 grams. And then I think of, we're thinking of a thumb or a small amount of fat, right? Protein, fat, and fiber. So here I have, I like to add in sometimes a couple tablespoons of seeds, pumpkin or sunflower seeds. You can always do olives, green or black. And of course, avocado. Love it. For the smaller ones, you can do about half of an avocado. otherwise a quarter, but enjoy that. That's a great combination to create satiety, right? So we need to make sure we're getting enough of the right foods in the right spacing, which brings us to our next, next of the 5 is when. When are we eating? So many of us, and me included, I was brought into this space on several small meals a day, right? To keep our metabolism stable. We've now learned since the science and the research has taught us that that isn't the case. We need to space out our meals and give our digestive system time to digest the food through, use it, so that we can then get into the fat stores. And this is where you've heard maybe about intermittent fasting. Not extreme fasting, right? But something where, let's say you finish your meal at the end of the day by 7 p.m. and then you don't eat again maybe until 9, 10, 11 a.m., right? Giving yourself time to go into the stores. I think of it like, it's like a clean out, right? Your body needs time to clean out the old to allow the new in. And when we give our body time to digest, use the food, what happens is once we hit, the point at where we're no longer burning the calories that we just ate, the body is then allowed to go into the fat stores and start using fat for fuel, which is what we're looking for, right? So we want to flip the fat burning switch. When we eat all the time, constantly, we're always off the top, meaning we're always burning sugar. The body never gets into the fat stores and we become addicted to that. So it takes some help. That's where I work with a lot of clients, is to help them flip the switch from sugar burning to fat burning so that they can lose the weight for good. And it's not, once you get there, it's really not hard to sustain it, right? So you want to make sure you're bringing in consistency, right? Day in, day out. I eat at this time, this time, this time. I close my eating window and I fast till the next day. Again, rinse, repeat. The body likes consistency in that way. We don't want to be up and down, right? That yo-yo dieting is where the body goes into stress mode and it's like, wait a minute, I don't know when food's coming, so I better just go into starvation mode, which is that fight, flight, freeze. And that's where our body goes into storage again and gaining weight versus using fuel. So we really want to watch that balance. What, when, where? Where are you eating? Are you eating in your car, standing up, maybe rushing through to get to your meeting? It's really important that we find a space that is somewhat relaxing, where we're not super distracted, calm, right? You don't want to be in the middle of a high-spirited discussion or argument when you're eating. It disrupts our digestive process, again, which leads to fat storage. So again, as a menopause nutritionist, these are the things. It's what, where, when we've talked about, and then why. This is a biggie, right? A lot of us eat emotionally. And we look for food for comfort when we're bored, when we're angry, when we're happy. It has all these kind of plays in our life. And when I work with clients, this is an important thing to start to work on because it's just an automatic response. We probably haven't thought about it, and we've been doing it forever, the way we eat, right? And why we're eating. So it's important to reflect, am I hungry or am I lonely, tired, stressed out, and I just am looking for something? Because what we can do is come up with alternative ways to calm your body and your mind down that will help you feel better and not turn to food that later you're going to feel badly about, right? I shouldn't have eaten those cookies or that ice cream, or why did I, that again is that talk that just keeps us in that cycle of reaching for the food. So we want to clear the path there as to why, we want to understand, why am I eating? What, when, why, how, where. I think is that it? What, when, why, where, and how am I eating? Okay, the how. And this kind of comes in, I mentioned this a little bit with the where are we eating, but we want to take our time. And this can be the most challenging thing, right? Again, we're rushing, right? We're on the go. So we got to get the food in to move on. Well, this is where a lot of us, we don't even realize we've eaten. Or sometimes it's just mindless eating. We're not even aware of what we ate. So it's really important to slow down enough and come into the space where you're enjoying your food as much as you can. And, doing things like putting a candle out, putting on some light music, really making it you and your plate, right? You and your food that you've created, and really enjoying that experience. This is where real satiety, right? That satisfaction of nourishment comes in. And so also with chewing, right? So many people are like, chew, 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 swallow, chew, 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 swallow, chew, 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 drink water. We don't want to do that. Digestion starts in the mouth. So we really want to take our time, chew our food several times, right? We really want to make sure we're breaking it down before we swallow. So really giving yourself time blocking on your calendar, 30 minutes to enjoy your meal, 20 minutes at the least, but because then you won't be so hungry so soon after. You will be satisfied, which gives your body then the chance to use the energy, digest it, use it, and then get into the fat stores. So we can start to use the fat stores, burn fat for fuel. And so these are really important aspects of the coaching I use, as a menopause nutritionist. And I hope you find this helpful. And I really hope that if you have any questions or this resonates with you, that you'll hit the like button, subscribe, and, think about reaching out if you want some help with this, because you're not alone and there's nothing wrong with you. It's just we need to think about, nutrition and eating and how we treat our bodies differently at this stage in life. And that's what I'm here to help you with. So with that, have a great day, and I hope you found this helpful.